Good day, everyone, and welcome to episode 31 of the Jersey Nerds podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your host, Ryan. I'm back from vacation, back doing the podcast, and we got a great podcast going on today. We're looking at the best-looking third-round playoff series from the 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs, which are currently ongoing as we record this podcast. And also we'll take a look at a topic, should there be a logo for the semifinal series, for the conference finals, or perhaps Final Four logo in the NHL. We'll also have our regular segments, Fake or Authentic. We'll go into the mailbag. We'll do Throwback Throwdown. And as always, for every podcast, is your chance to win a free HJC sticker. Now let's meet the co-hosts. As always, joining me, Monday's writer, Shawn. What's been going on, Shawn?
Well, Ryan, after you wrestled control from the blog back from me, I just wish the Jets would not lose to, of all teams, Vegas.
Okay, we'll review this podcast next week and see how much you've really blown this out of proportion. As we're recording, Game 3 is going on. It's not going well for Winnipeg. And we'll come back to this next week and see.
I just hate Vegas. I'm sorry. It's if this were any other team, I could be rational and reasonable, but it's the one team in the NHL I legitimately hate.
Well, the Jets and Knights rivalry is rooted deep in the heart of the NHL ground, so.
It is. It was rooted when one player, number 18 on the Vegas Golden Knights, took his stick and broke it over Connor Hellebuck's head, and nothing happened. And from that moment, I have had one thing to say about Vegas, but this is a family podcast, so I'm not going to say it.
Since when has this been a family podcast?
As of right now. Oh, by the way,
my family doesn't even listen to this podcast.
We can't get any families to listen to this podcast.
Yeah, the Detroit Mufflers episode made sure of that.
Yeah. I've been a fan of Vegas since 1990, and I'm offended that you hate them, Shawn.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll tell
They're
Matt.
one of the premier franchises in the league.
Weren't you born in, 99?
Most Stanley Cups ever. I can't believe it.
Bpoe was born wearing a Knights helmet. Just boom. Vegas Golden Knights fan. Well, as you can hear, joining us also today, friend of the show, resident fence sitter, Bpoe. What's going on?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you didn't ever introduce me.
You just jumped right in, man.
Sorry, I was watching the game a little bit while everybody was talking.
All right, we'll let Bpoe get back to the game. Also joining us, Friday's writer, TC. What's been going on?
Not much. It's finally been spring, summer weather down here in Georgia, so it's nice to be able to watch games outside.
Oh, that's so good. Fire up the barbecue, get the TV outside. Except when the neighbors, well, I don't know how much of a problem this is in Georgia, but when the neighbors start popping over and want to watch the game with you. Now, I'm someone who likes to watch the game pretty much alone. I might have one or two people over. But when you get too many people, then you get the person who wants to commentate, and you also get a person usually who wants to supply the uninformed opinion, and then you get the person who pretends to be a lifelong fan of whatever team. Not unlike Bpoe is doing here tonight with his beloved Golden Knights. But I like to
since 1990.
Before he even knew what hockey was, or what his fingers were, or what life was.
Before he was even a twinkle in his father's eye.
Wait, hockey? What's that? I thought they were a football team.
Before he can even spell his name.
And Bpoe's been removed from the podcast. All right, well, we got a lineup of things to talk about tonight, so let's get right to it. So we're going to be taking a look at the two third-round series in the NHL right now. Tampa and Washington, Winnipeg and Vegas. We're going to talk about what is the best-looking game in the series, who has the best-looking home game. And then we'll look through each team's history and come up each with our own ideal matchup, jersey matchup for the team. So let's start in the East. Tampa, Washington, a series that I'm really not interested in at all, but it exists, so I'll watch it. And Shawn, we'll start with you. Who has the better looking home game, Tampa or Washington?
I'm going to say Washington because I think that their white jerseys are a dud, and I tend to prefer Tampa's blue jersey, and this would be a great example of a series that would work color v. color. But at the same time, at least Tampa Bay's white jersey is functional. Washington's white jersey is a mess. The color balancing's off, and at this point, I'm ready to see that template go.
Bpoe, who's got the best looking home game?
This is kind of a tough one, and I think I'm going to say Washington, mainly because in Washington you have Washington's nice red jerseys against Tampa with a good bit of blue in there, especially with the pants. And if you're for Washington's home games, Tampa's home games, while the blue looks nice, Washington's navy blue pants kind of are a little bit drab in comparison, and they don't really give you the same variety of color that a Washington home game would.
TC, you taking Washington as well?
As much as I hate to say it, I do have to go with Washington at home. I think Bpoe made some great points about the red playing off of the blue of Tampa Bay's, as opposed to a white and blue on a predominantly white and blue set. So I think bringing the red in does make for a more interesting visual matchup.
And I guess I'm going to be the odd one out. I'm taking Tampa Bay. I don't mind Washington's uniforms. I think they're decent. I think Tampa Bay's white uniform is pretty drab, kind of uninspired. I do prefer their blue uniform, and I like the way that Tampa's arena looks too. It seems like a bright arena. They own the blue. It just seems to have a lot more life. Whereas,
they force the blue down your throat.
Well, you could say that about Nashville and the gold too, right?
Well, I'm mainly making a joke at the fact that they don't let you wear the opposing fans' jerseys in certain sections.
Way. Are they still on that?
I think so.
You're
if
in
not
Florida.
For this series, it was last series. I'm pretty sure I saw something about it this playoffs.
Yeah, a few years ago when they played Detroit in the playoffs, they tried to do that too. That's just ridiculous. I mean, you should be allowed to wear whatever you want to the game. Either way, I'm taking Tampa on this one. I do prefer the look of their arena. Let's go to the West. Bpoe's favorite team, Vegas, against Shawn's favorite team, Winnipeg. Who has the better looking home game? Let's go to the impartial party, TC, first.
I'm going to have to say that I would go with Vegas home games. I really like the steel gray as the main color of their jerseys, and I think that Winnipeg's uniform with the full-length yoke plays better than the solid navy. So it's my favorite jersey for each team when the Golden Knights are at home.
Bpoe, who's got the better looking home game?
I'm going to have to go with Vegas too. There's not much color in the series in general. If you consider that, the navy blue doesn't pop out in the same way like a royal blue does. The light blue for Winnipeg is probably the best burst of color that you get, but the gold on Vegas's jerseys pop a lot more on the dark ones, as well as Winnipeg's cleaner white. Well, not necessarily cleaner, but pretty clean white jerseys look pretty good in comparison, and especially how the blue yokes, or I guess full arm yoke things, contrast a little bit better and just kind of add a little bit more, I guess, excitement, I can say. I'm not really sure how to word that.
All right, Shawn, Winnipeg whiteout versus the Vegas sideshow. Better looking home game.
The Winnipeg whiteout, because you described it perfectly, the sideshow. Like, it's just, I feel like I'm at a cheap fair, and I'm waiting to play the basketball throw game where the hoop is actually an oval, so you can't get the ball through. It's a cheap gimmick. The stupid Elvises look terrible. Both teams have relatively good jerseys, so it's a flip of a coin. I personally prefer the Winnipeg's navy jersey, so that flips it for me. But I don't need to look at some fans who probably didn't know what hockey was a year ago dressing up as Elvis coming to a hockey game.
Can I just say how dumb it is for a home team to have all of their fans wear white when the opposing team is wearing white?
No, because you know what? Because we're the
Great White North. We're the Great White North.
No, but first of all, that's a big FU to Calgary, by the way. In case you're wondering why Winnipeg does the whiteout, it's because Calgary does the sea of red. So Winnipeg in the 80s said, screw you, Calgary. You know what? Whiteout. You know why? Because I'm also of the opinion that the home team should wear white. But that's just me. But at the same time, it contrasts nicely. Think about it for a second. You got the players in navy and a sea of white. Okay? Sea of white and obviously navy. But I think it works. It's something that works for Winnipeg. Pittsburgh stole it.
Actually, we do gold outs now.
Yeah, you do gold outs now. Because you can't do white. You used to do whiteouts, and you used to do whiteouts.
I said that's why we do gold outs now.
Now, yeah.
Now.
And Phoenix did it once.
Who's Phoenix?
Did it once, which was Phoenix made the conference finals once. By the way, for those of you who are too young to remember.
But
when you say once, do you mean for one game, 1 year, or one series?
It was the year they made the conference finals. So 11-12, and they got their butts handed to them by the Kings.
Oh, right.
That didn't answer my question at all.
I don't remember if it was the whole playoffs or just that series. There's the second round series that they won. It was something that they picked up, I think, in the later 2 rounds. Brian remembers.
I don't remember. The Coyotes are the most irrelevant team in maybe all of sports to me. I'd rather follow them too, but they're just a gong show. The Coyotes are so irrelevant. I'd rather follow the English Premier League soccer rather than the footy rather than
soccer. I hardly know her.
Oh. All right, getting back on track because this train's swerving.
Back to this family podcast.
Best looking home game. I'm going to take Winnipeg because it's the whiteout, and I love how angry people, especially like TC, are getting about the fact that the fans are wearing white at home. And
I'm not angry. I just recognize that it's stupid.
It's rooted in a tradition that was created.
Real NHL teams wear white at home. And last I checked, there's only one NHL team who's never worn white at home.
It's rooted in an era where teams wore white at home.
This iteration of the Jets have never worn white at home.
Damn it, TC, they did for 3 glorious seasons from 99. Don't bring up the Thrashers, man.
That's not the Jets.
Hey, the Jets' first ever preseason, they wore white at home. And on the road.
Preseason, because that counts.
It does now.
If you ain't getting points for it, it doesn't count.
So the Thrashers never played a game.
So the Stanley Cup playoffs don't count? You don't get any points from it.
Well, don't worry. The Thrashers never won a game in the playoffs, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Swept by the Rangers. All right, let's get to the best looking. Make your ideal matchup for each of these series. Going back to the East, Tampa and Washington. Bpoe, you start us off. What would, in your idea, what would be the best looking series or game between these two teams?
For Tampa, I think I'm going to have to go with their current set, mainly because of the amount of color. The jerseys, I think, still are a little bit bland and boring with the simple one straight pattern. Could be spiced up a little bit, but the amount of color, I think, makes these the best they've worn. And for Washington, I would probably go with their inaugural set / the throwback they were bringing back. Again, I mean, Washington doesn't have the greatest jersey history, but I think those are still their best. And a red on blue color matchup in these jerseys would look absolutely gorgeous.
As it still would today. Shawn, best looking jersey matchup here.
I have to throw my love to the 95 to 2000 set with the Columbia blue as the dark jersey. And under a pure nostalgic sense, and I will purely admit this is stupid, but Tampa's 07 to 11 jerseys. I have a soft spot for them. Dwayne Rollison, carrying that team to within 1 goal of the Cup final in 2011. They're not the best, and I'm sure Ryan's going to go off about how they're the worst of those and all that. But you know what? Let's do that.
Black.
All right, TC, give us your ideal matchup here.
Ideal matchup for me would be the Capitals 95 to 97 white jersey. It's the same as the Columbia blue that Shawn brought up, but I don't know. There's just something about the white with the contrasting hem and arm stripes that does it for me. And then for the Lightning, I would go with the 93 to 94 Tampa Bay Lightning black jersey. I really like that edition of the jersey, and I think The italicized original font looks a lot better than the chicken scratch that they had that they're more famous for. I think it was a good modern look, and there's something to be said about the victory stripes.
All right, for me here, I think it's super simple for me. Current Capitals red versus current Lightning blue. It'll never happen, but that would be the ideal look for me. But I'm going to take it.
I'm sorry. The entire Washington Capitals uniform history, and you go with arguably the worst one they have.
It looks modern. I'm okay with it.
Typical Leaf fan just wanting to see the Leafs in Tampa.
Yeah.
The Tampa
They're
Red
called Rangers South, not Tampa South.
No, the Maple Wings.
The Maple Wings.
That's
the jersey. Yeah, that's the jersey.
Maple Wings down in Tampa. That's why Ryan likes subconsciously blurs it a little bit. And he goes, "Yeah, that's Matthews. It's really Stamkos," but we won't get into that.
You don't even pick the Reebok versions of their jerseys. You pick the Adidas version.
Why am I getting ragged? Shawn came up with probably the worst possible option, and you guys are ragging on me.
Columbia Blue is gorgeous.
Yeah, Columbia Blue is gorgeous, and I said that those Tampa Bay jerseys weren't great, but I'm nostalgic for them.
Columbia Blue is not gorgeous because I'm going to go ahead and make the worst possible matchup, and I'm going to take Tampa Bay's. I'm going to take Tampa Bay's Lightning Storm alternate jersey from '96 and put it up against Washington's white version of the Columbia Blue jersey. And that would be the all-time worst matchup.
That's fine.
For
and
this series.
You're wrong.
Yeah. I can't believe you said that the Storm jersey was worse than the original Edge jerseys.
The Storm jersey is awful.
And that the white Columbia was worse than the black version that they had during that era.
It had no blue on it.
It was. The blue one was they're all terrible. The whole eagle from 95 to 2000.
The Capitol building logo is obviously the weakest of the era.
They're all awful. They're all three of them. They're terrible. They're just terrible.
Because the Capitals were a real powerhouse of jerseys before that, with literally just a Montreal Canadiens away jersey with stripes on or stars on the friggin' arms and a big fat hem stripe and white pants.
Those were the glory days. Mike Gartner, Mike Liut, and net. Don Beaupre as his backup. I'm going through a bunch. Dale Hunter, 93 playoffs. Dale Hunter hitting Pierre Turgeon after a goal. Breaking
and what was it, an 8-win inaugural season or something like that?
74-75. What a beautiful year that was for the Capitals.
They were exceptional. Taking a look here. Oh, can't find their records.
74-75. Yep. 8-67-5.
Oh, that is
Jesus.
That's so right there.
Just remember, you could be the Kansas City Scouts and only win 15 games, or you could win 8. At least they're not the Senators. You know why? Because they grew up to be likable.
All right, let's switch to the West here. And although these two teams don't have extensive jersey histories, especially Vegas, but for Winnipeg, we'll include the old Jets and the Thrashers in this. So, Shawn, I'll let you lead off, and I guess you don't have too many Vegas choices, but go ahead and give us your ideal jersey matchup through history for this one.
Yeah, Vegas's placeholder jerseys and Winnipeg's 90 to 96 jerseys. I don't want to look at Vegas right now. They make me sick.
How about Winnipeg's jerseys that they used at the 2011 draft?
Versus, there we go. There we go. Mark Scheifele's draft jersey, so a black NHL jersey, and Vegas's placeholder logo on a white version of that. I want to see the all placeholder game.
Oh, boy.
There we go.
I kind of want to make that now as a concept.
Do it. Free Concept of the Week nomination for me if you make that concept.
All right, let's go live to the fence. Bpoe, what's your ideal history matchup here, jersey history matchup?
Let's see. For Vegas, I think I'm going to go with their 2020 Stadium Series jersey. Well, I mean, obviously, I guess I have to pick their current set. But for Winnipeg, I would have to go with...
Hold on. You got to pick one jersey. You got to go white or gray.
I'll get there. For Winnipeg, I'm going to have to agree with Shawn and go with their 90 to 96 set. Beautiful. The colors are beautiful. The striping, as simple as it is great. It's just, every time I see pictures of this, I just love it and kind of wish that Winnipeg would bring it back right now. And I think for this matchup, I'm going to have to go with Winnipeg's blue versus Vegas's white, mainly because I'm not sure the gray and blue would contrast well enough for color on color. And, I mean, what else are you going to do at that point? And I pick Winnipeg's blue over Vegas's gray because more color. So,
TC, who you got?
Well, for Vegas, I'm going to have to go to the archives and see which one I like. Steel gray. That'll be it for me. And then I'm going to bring back the greatest jersey that the Jets organization has ever worn. The Atlanta Thrashers 1999 to 2007 white jersey with the winged arms. Oh, it was glorious. It was beautiful. It was the first hockey jersey I ever owned, and it doesn't fit, but I still hold on to it for nostalgia.
I do that with the Canucks jersey. It's okay. We're all good.
You know, that jersey actually could be considered rare because only a few hundred people saw it each night. So
That's true.
I was going to say total in the 10, 12 years they existed, but yeah.
All right, I'm going to stick with the Thrashers here for my ideal jersey matchup. I'm going to go with that light blue alternate that they had, which eventually became their home. And I'm going to put it up against Vegas's charcoal jersey. And that would be a beautiful Vegas-Winnipeg matchup / Atlanta / Arizona / Winnipeg.
I think
All
all
believe in blue land.
I think I'm going to change my pick for Vegas, actually. I think I'm going to go with their gold and red 90s gradient jersey, the 1991. With the giant...
yes, the first season alternate.
They're fullback.
Or down each sleeve.
Which, of course, is like a fine wine. It got better with age, right? All right, well, that was our walk through history, the extensive jersey history, especially of the Vegas Golden Knights, and Bpoe's history lesson. Thanks for that. Still to come is your chance to win a free HJC sticker. Coming up, we're going to talk about a possible semi-final logo. That's the best part about a podcast, when your music doesn't work properly. But anyways, we're talking about possible semifinal logo in the NHL. Should there be one? Should it be worn on jerseys or maybe just used on the ice or for promotional material? And we'll get into a few other topics. But let's start with Bpoe and see if he can get off the fence, which he's done pretty well so far. But should there be a semifinals matchup logo in the NHL?
Honestly, I see no problem with having another logo for even each round of the playoffs, maybe aside from round one. Well, even then, I guess you could say quarterfinals, especially if it's only going to be used on promotional materials or maybe merchandise. If the NHL is trying to sell more merchandise, then hey, might as well. I don't really see an issue with it as long as it's not worn on the jerseys, and maybe even if I'm not really sure if the teams change ice every round, but hell, maybe even just stick it on the ice instead of the playoff banner that they have. Why not? Yeah,
I think the playoffs banner would be a great point to do this change. I agree with you that it shouldn't end up on jerseys. Shawn, what do you think about a conference finals logo?
I remember when the NHL did it in 05-06. I distinctly remember that being a thing, and I was a little confused when I noticed that they stopped doing it. They did it for every round in 05-06. I think it should only be the conference finals. The reason being is that to reach the conference finals as a franchise is a pretty big deal. It puts you within 4 games of the Cup final. It puts you within the category of phantom merchandise for what if they had made it. And on top of that, it means that you've at least gotten through halfway through the playoffs. And it's something that you're down to the certain number of teams that you know that will be the Cup final matchup. And I think it makes for a good thing to look back on and say, here's the team, to say a few years ago when it was Pittsburgh, LA, Boston, Chicago in the conference finals, you could look back and say, well, it could have been Chicago, Boston, it could have been LA, Pittsburgh, it could have been Chicago, Pittsburgh, it could have been LA, Boston.
Yeah, I'm just looking at those logos that you referenced for each of the rounds. I totally forgot they did that coming out of the lockout. And they did. It's just font with the NHL logo, but
they're plain, but they were only on the ice, which is where they belong. Yeah. I think that in that sense, I think Bpoe's right. It's just it serves as a good reminder to remind you what round you're in. Just look at the ice and go, hey. And it's also nice, when they do highlights of old games, you don't have to guess which round it is or remember some semifinal series that was relatively irrelevant. You can go, oh, so this is the round. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Unless it's Washington-Pittsburgh, because they always seem to meet in the second round, it looks like.
You know that's a second round matchup. And if it's Philly-Washington, you know it's a first round matchup.
TC, thoughts on a conference finals logo?
I like the idea of a conference final logo. I wouldn't want one for any earlier rounds. I think it's a good way, like Bpoe said, spur merchandise, which I know the NHL is always looking for a good way to make a quick buck. But I also think, these teams have made it to the penultimate round of the playoffs. They deserve to have something special on the ice for them. I don't think it should be a patch on a jersey, but I do think having it on the ice instead of the generic Stanley Cup playoffs logo would be a good call.
Now, I think I'm in agreement with everyone that I don't think it should be a patch, and the ideal place would be on the ice, and then probably T-shirts, like locker room T-shirts that the players could wear. You'd see them in interviews wearing their conference final shirts. Should a Stanley Cup be in this logo, or should it be more of a word mark like it was in 2006, or maybe a combination of that? More so focusing on, should there be a Stanley Cup in a conference final logo, Shawn?
You don't put the World Series trophy in the ALCS logos. You don't put no other league does this. The AFC championships don't have them in it. The NBA Eastern I'm just using the ones I'm more familiar with. The NBA Eastern Conference Finals logo, they don't have them in it. And the NHL should do the exact same. Make it about the conference. This is about the conference champions. This isn't about the champions. That's coming next round. Have some anticipation for it.
And I think to go along with the conference finals logo would be a revamping of the actual conference logos. I think those could use a touch.
Eastern Conference teal and what color was that? Dark purple?
Yeah.
For the West?
Bring those back, or some version of them. Anyways, TC, what kind of imagery should be used in conference finals logos or logo?
I don't think that the Stanley Cup is appropriate for this, especially since each of these series has their own trophy. You have the Campbell Bowl and the Prince of Wales trophy. So I think using those would be good, and it would be cool because then each conference has their own distinct logo, so you know which conference. I mean, for the casual observer, of course, anyone who actually knows is going to know, oh, I wonder if Winnipeg and Vegas are in the East. Probably not. Geography is pretty simple. But I do think that it'd be cool to have both the Campbell and the Prince of Wales awards in the logo.
It wasn't too long ago when Winnipeg did play one season in the East, 2011.
Wasn't it 2 seasons?
Was it 2?
I think it was 2 because they did the realignment for 13-14.
So
or was that 14-15?
I don't remember. Memo.
Let's find out. I will find out. You guys keep going.
On a quick note, DirecTV actually, because I have that, my family has that. They still have, if you go to like the sports section and like find the list of NHL teams, they still have Winnipeg in the East and Columbus and Detroit in the West.
2 seasons. 13-14 was the year of the realignment.
So Winnipeg played 2 seasons in the East. And just going back to DirecTV, I don't think any source down south is really that trustworthy on knowing what's going on in the NHL.
Excuse me?
You heard me. I don't need to repeat myself. You people are terrible for broadcasting hockey. Terrible. I was in Florida, and all I got was Fox Sports 1. No NBC anywhere, except for the main network. But they would never put a hockey game on the main network. That would blow people's minds. All right, should the conference logos be completely separate with a completely different look, or should they follow the same theme, Shawn?
Follow the same theme, but build to... I like TC's idea of including the imagery of the conference championship logos in the conference finals, but build it around the same theme. Have a standard issue blank round, and then work the trophy into that.
What about just a Final Four logo? Maybe adjusting some imagery or colors on that, and then teams just wear a Final Four logo.
I think that's neat for a TV broadcast, like a commercial, but it doesn't work. I don't even think it works for gear. I think it works for like a TSN commercial, like East, West, and then just have the Stanley Cup in the middle and a little bracket around it and have the Final Four teams. But that reeks of the NCAA, I will say.
Yeah. Bpoe, do you think the logo should look different or themed together?
Well, I think I agree with Shawn that you should have kind of a sort of standard template for it, but differentiate a bit. For example, use the different trophies, maybe use the different colors for each conference, something like that. And I'm also going to go back to answer the last question because I somehow got skipped over for that. I think that...
it's because we didn't want your opinion.
We thought you'd be on the fence too much, so we just said, you know what? He's on the fence.
Well, I don't care if you want my opinion. I'm going to give it anyways. So,
sorry, we're tight for time.
Classic Pittsburgh.
I think that a Stanley Cup could work in the logo if you were to have like a standard templated design between the first 3 rounds. But otherwise, I think if you're only going to have it for the conference final, I think include the Wales and Campbell Bowls. And my preference in general would be to have maybe the Stanley Cup and the playoffs logo like they have it now. But if you have specific round logos, just leave it out until the final.
All right, and TC, your last word on possible conference final logos and what they should look like.
I do agree with Shawn. I think it should be a more templated design, but I do think that they should have each conference's trophy and just sort of superimpose that onto the logo. And as for your Final Four logo idea, I think it's about as good an idea as asking Rafi Torres to babysit your toddlers.
He might be excellent with children. You don't know that.
Yeah, until they get chippy and he headshots one of them. Or it goes for a knee-on-knee hits.
His feet left the ice.
Why are my kids laid out? Yeah, they didn't keep their heads up. I couldn't help it. I was already committed to the hit. I'm sorry.
He was chirping. We were playing pickup, and he got a couple pigeon goals. I don't know.
Part of the game. It's an unfortunate incident, but he leaned into the hit and was already. I already had my shoulder up, so
I kept telling him pucks in deep. They wouldn't listen. All right, here's your chance to win a free HJC sticker. Coming up in the upcoming week, we will tweet about this podcast with a link to the podcast. And we'll also mention winning a free HJC sticker. Except I can't put winning in the tweets because then a bunch of bots pick it up and start retweeting it, which is bullshit. But anyways, look for the tweet that comes out during the week. Retweet the tweet. And then listen to the podcast next week to see if you've won an HJC sticker. Now, this was a slower week. A little bit of a different podcast last week. But a tweet did go out, and the winner again is Jeff T. So Jeff's been accumulating a nice little family of HJC stickers. So if you want to stop Jeff from winning HJC stickers, look out for the tweet this week. Retweet it for your chance to win a free HJC logo sticker. And coming up now is Throwback Throwdown. For this week's Throwback Throwdown, we're looking at a 1996 Stanley Cup Final rematch between the Colorado Avalanche and the Florida Panthers, except we'll be looking at this year's Adidas jerseys for each team. Looking at Colorado, most people know they went back to their kind of mountain design on the hem. They have a maroon home jersey, a white road jersey. The mountain design is blue on that home jersey, with the similar mountain design on the sleeves, also in blue and trimmed in silver. And then the white jersey has the same design elements in maroon, trimmed in silver. Looking at the Florida Panthers, they continued on with the Reebok Edge jersey that they had. They just placed it on the Adidas template, mimicking the Montreal Canadiens home jersey. Big, broad, white stripe along the going across the chest, outlined in gold, does not continue to the back. And same on the arms. The numbers go on the shoulders And then the state flag, of course, adjusted whether or not they're on the home or road team and whether or not it's captain or alternate captain. And then it's reversed for the white home jersey. So, Shawn, let's go to you for your thoughts on Colorado's Adidas jerseys.
Yeah, these are really nice. I think that they did a good job of incorporating the classic Avalanche look while leaving that as the classic look and going to something a little more modern. I like the adjusted mountain outline, the gray increase. What I don't like on these jerseys, sadly, is the balancing done on the white jerseys with the black numbers on the back. I think that this adds just a little bit too much black to the jersey. I can see people smirking already because I said that there's too much black on the jersey. And on top of that, there's a lack of blue, I think. There's a lack of blue on the white jersey.
All right, we're all distracted here because the Jets just scored and Shawn's peeing his pants out in the East Coast.
You mean the Atlanta Thrashers?
The Atlanta Thrashers.
The artist formerly known as the Atlanta Thrashers just scored. So
3-2. Of course, you all love the live updates, especially if you're listening to this 5 days after it was recorded. And so I know, right? I know you're loving the Game 3 live updates. Let's go to Bpoe on your thoughts on the Adidas Avalanche jerseys.
Well, I think these jerseys are absolutely beautiful. I don't really know what Shawn said, I'll be honest. I kind of missed all of that, so I hope I don't piggyback on his points, I hope I don't copy his points. But I think it's a great modernization of their inaugural jerseys, and it does it really well without being like too garish or 90s. I mean, honestly, their old jerseys look a little bit dated at this point, especially with these ones in existence. These ones do it beautifully. I wouldn't change too much about the home jersey other than the collar. The road jersey, though, I think could use a little bit more blue, and the gray outer stripe doesn't really contrast well enough against the white, although I'm honestly not sure how it would even add more blue.
TC, your thoughts?
I have to pretty much echo what everyone has said. I love the return of the mountain striping. It was my childhood. I grew up watching the Avalanche. And I think it's a great look, a very distinct look for them. The collar on the home, once again, is the only thing I'd change. I hate the Adidas collars and what they are doing with it. On the away, same problem, and once again, needs more blue. I think probably kill two birds with one stone, change out the silver striping for blue, and we'll be good.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with everyone's points there. I think the highlights of this jersey are the kind of state logo, not exactly, but the C Colorado logo on the shoulders, and the sort of updated numbers and font taken a little bit from their Stadium Series jersey. So I think those are the highlights. And as everyone said, more blue on the white jersey would be ideal. Let's switch over to the Florida Panthers, the team that lost the 96 Stanley Cup final to the Avalanche. 4 straight games. Yui Krupp scoring for the Avalanche in Game 4 in triple overtime to win the game 1-0. Looking at the Florida Panthers jersey, Shawn. No, we can't hear Shawn.
Sorry.
Now we can hear Shawn.
No need to apologize.
Guys are asses.
I know.
Yeah. I think that I'm a big fan of the logos with this. I think that this is one of the few jerseys that did translate well to Adidas from Reebok. I do like everything that's done with the unique shoulder patches. I love the number styles on the back. The white jersey is what kills it for me. And the biggest thing about it is the blue numbers with the blue pants. There's too much navy. It reminds me of the years when they had navy as their main color and they were boring and bad and all that. But you know what? The home is good enough to carry this set. And on top of that, I think that it's one of the few jerseys that actually does the chest stripe very well without falling into the chest stripe for chest stripe's sake.
Bpoe?
Yeah, I think Florida hit it out of the park with their rebrand. Their logo desperately needed an update because it was very 90s and very dated and very busy. And I think that the updated version of that Leaping Panther does a great job, but I think that they made the right choice, especially with the chest stripe, to go with the logo that they did. I love the amount of color on these jerseys, as I'm sure you guys know, even just if you listen to this podcast, and that's it. I love color. And I do think that the road jersey maybe could use some more red, just because of the navy blue pants. I also love the collar detail with the Florida flag. And I do wish the chest stripe ended in a little bit more of a graceful way, I should say, other than cutting off with no rhyme or reason.
Fade to white.
Gradient. I actually almost wonder if that would work.
Oh, no.
Considering
the modern term is fade.
Although, honestly, considering how little you would actually see the gradient, I wonder if it would actually kind of work.
Well, then what's the point? Victory gradient.
Victory gradient. Tampa, put that under your arms.
All right, TC, thoughts on Florida's jerseys?
I really like their rebrand. I love the military theme. Their logo updates have been fantastic. I do like the chest stripe. My biggest issue is the chest stripe stopping. Probably my biggest pet peeve, that don't wrap all the way around. I know that it's difficult to make it work with numbers on the back, but teams have found a way. And I think other than that, my main issue is the hem stripe. I think, especially with the lack of chest stripe on the back, that it just kind of leaves it a little too bare for me.
All right, and I agree with mostly what you guys said. Love the logo updates. I love the new kind of font. It looks like a pretty standard font, but it has some tweaks in there that make it a good font. It seemed kind of updated and modern. I like that the TV numbers are on the shoulder. That's kind of a little something different that they started and Edmonton started doing again last year. I really thought I would like the secondary logos on the arms, but I think they really clutter up the jersey. Perhaps moving them down into the stripe, excuse me, it would be something more that I would like personally. And the laces that don't flow out of the jersey. They're just kind of permanently tucked in and they're just an X there. Not a fan of that. And although the chest stripe is popular and it looks fine, I don't like the idea that they flat out came out when these jerseys came out and said that they were inspired by classic looks such as Montreal. It just comes across as doing something because it's popular and not coming up with your own idea. But overall, these jerseys they're a winner. So let's pick our winners now. Colorado Adidas versus Florida Adidas. Shawn, go ahead.
It's a tough vote, but I think looking back at that series, which team improved more? I'm going to give it to Florida. I think that they took a classic set and they went with something new and they didn't try to hang on to that classic set. And I think that while Colorado's jerseys are a nice modernization, they don't reach that true level of, classicness that their original jerseys had.
Bpoe, who are you going with?
This is also a really tough one. Ask me in 5 minutes, I might change my mind, but I think I'm going to have to go Florida on this one.
And TC?
Once again, extremely difficult decision, but for nostalgia's sake, I'm going to go with Colorado.
And these guys, both these jerseys are pretty equal, but I think what does it for me, both collars are pretty atrocious on the home jerseys, but Colorado's collar is worse on the road jersey. So I'm going to go ahead and give this to Florida, and which also gives them the win in Throwback Throwdown by a score of 3-1. Coming up next, we're going to do fake or authentic. Fake or authentic? Fake or authentic is the game we play just like the jerseys you see at your local NHL arena, and you have to guess whether or not they're fake or authentic. Instead of jerseys, though, I come up with statements, and the co-hosts decide whether or not they're fake or authentic. So here we go. And these are very much geared to my thoughts. So starting with both the Canadian and American anthems should be played before all Stanley Cup final games. Fake or authentic, TC?
Honestly, I think it depends on who's in the cup. I think if it's two American teams, 100% fake. There's no need for it. I understand it's an international league, but if the country's not represented in the finals, there's no need for it.
Bpoe?
I think this is a tough one, but I'm going to have to say authentic because I can see arguments from both sides. Like, for example, TC, if there's no Canadian teams in it, then what's the purpose? But whenever you think about it, I'm sure a lot of Canadian fans watch the final either way, and I'm sure a good bit of the Canadians fans do as well. And a lot of NHL players are Canadian as well. So, and honestly, if you sing them both, what's it going to hurt? You're going to lose an extra 2 minutes. Singer's going to have to sing for an extra 2 minutes or so. So I'm mainly saying authentic on the purpose of what's it going to hurt.
Shawn?
I'm going to go with fake because if there's no Canadian team in it, then, the idea is broadcast in Canada and the majority of the audience is likely Canadian. But my problem with that is that it's just the whole thing of you got Swedish and Finnish and Russian players in there. You don't have to play the Swedish and Russian and Finnish national anthems. Think about if Winnipeg makes the Cup final, they're mostly American. Good on them for it, but, we still play the Canadian national anthem because they're from Canada. So we don't base who plays the national anthem because of where the team or who watches the games or who's on the team. We base it based on where the team's from. So, we just have to hope Canadian teams keep making the Cup final, and we go from there.
And I came up with this statement because, for me, this is authentic. I think both anthems should be played. It's just an acknowledgement of both fan bases, both countries, which are your two major supporters, which are your two major viewerships watching the final. And I just think it's a good acknowledgement of such.
So if we're going for acknowledgement, can we just wrap it up and write a new one and go, "Oh, Canada, you totally exist." That's it.
We need to get the new words right first. We need to remember that there are new words and then forget them and then keep.
See, that's the thing. You keep changing up your anthem. Ours has been the same for.
At least ours isn't a drinking song.
Mailbag question number 2. Before each Stanley Cup final game, should the anthems of every single country, of every single player playing in the games represented be sung?
Yep. All the players should stand on the blue line for 45 minutes while we get through 8 anthems. Buckle up, boys.
Or every single anthem of every single country in the world, because there's got to be at least one fan in all of them, right?
Well, because Deshante Aluga had to make the NHL, we now have to play the national anthem of Uganda. And he stays there. He's doing the hockey thing, like he's shuffling the skates. He's getting ready. The rest of the players are sitting down. And he's like, all right.
This is my jam.
Is my bump up music.
It's the same thing that, all the hockey players do when the national anthem's playing. They're keeping charge of getting ready, but he's only doing it. The players only do it for their national anthem. So if yours gets played first, you get all warmed up and then go and sit back down. So you hope you play yours last.
All right, let's move on to statement number 2, fake or authentic. I do not pay the high prices for beer at the hockey games. Shawn, fake or authentic?
I do not. The reason being is when I go to a Halifax Mooseheads game, I can get a poutine for $8 or a beer for $10. And I'll take the $8 poutine. It's not the best poutine in the world, but it's far from the worst, and they use real cheese curds. Toronto is a whole different issue when it comes to beer.
If you like $12 small beers, Toronto is the place for you.
I paid $15 for 16 ounces of beer at an Iron Maiden concert there, and that's about what it costs at the ACC for the same thing. So, you know what? If you're going to drink at a hockey game, do it at home or go to the bar.
Bpoe, you're not even legal drinking age, are you?
That is authentic because somebody would lose their job if they did.
Hey-oh.
You should give it a go.
You'd be like the Blue Jays guys.
Oh, does that happen at the Jays games?
The guy who used to say ice cold beer.
No way.
Yeah, that's why he got fired. He apparently served someone underage.
That sucks. You can't do that, especially when you're the beer guy. All right, TC, fake or authentic? I do not pay the high prices for beer at a hockey game.
That is authentic. I no longer drink, but back in my drinking days, I would go to hockey games, and I was a big fan of the pregame. If you aren't drunk enough by the time you get there, you aren't doing it right.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Thrashers games, you need to drink to get through.
That's what a collapsible, non-metal, because of the detectors, flask is for.
Especially after they traded Hossa. After that, it was just...
I love that TC's put some serious thought into this. You could probably write a book or a manual. How to get alcohol into the game.
Oh, keep in mind, the Thrashers left when I was still 16.
Wow. I was 14, 15 when they left. But yeah, I can picture 99 to 07. People sneak beer into the Thrashers games. They trade Hossa. They start sneaking whiskey and moonshine into the games to get through it. And by 10-11, they're just straight up drinking like Everclear,
which is
or
funny.
Turpentine.
That's funny.
No,
because...
every ticket came with a free flask of pure rubbing alcohol.
It was just Ben Eaker's personal booze supply he kept under his locker to get through the games.
You're going to be blind for the rest of the game, but you're not really going to miss much.
Oh, then Andre Pavlik's fainted. No, he's tanked. No, he fainted. He passed out. Really, Andre Pavlik's just on the bench, hitting back.
Fun fact, one of my best friends hit the club hockey team at our university when they told us we could no longer have a keg on the bench.
It's always a bad situation when they have to introduce those types of rules. All right, fake or authentic number 3. If my team, we've covered this before, but it's a good spot to do fake or authentic for. If my team lost in the Stanley Cup final, I would still get a cup final patch on my jersey. Shawn, fake or authentic?
This is a reality for me now, is that I could have to make this decision, and of course I would.
Bpoe?
But even if I...
Sorry, go ahead, Shawn.
But even if I wasn't a fan of the team, 96 Panthers jerseys usually have that patch on them. Nashville jerseys from last year tend to have that patch on them. I've even seen Rangers 2014 jerseys with the Cup Finals patch on them. And it honestly looks better. I'll be blunt. At least the Rangers were competitive in that series. Cough, cough, Florida. But when it's your first series, particularly when you're like an expansion franchise from the 90s, go for it. You might not make another one for 22 years.
Bpoe, you got your Vegas jersey behind you. If the Golden Knights go on, defeat the Jets, and lose in the Stanley Cup final, would you get a Stanley Cup final patch on that jersey?
I guess it would mainly depend on how well they even do, because right now I actually have the inaugural season patch there, so that might be a pain to take off.
Yep.
But I'm going to look at this from a Pens fan's perspective as well, because that's the team that I'm a fan of. If they made it to the final again and lost, I'm going to say no, because I already have enough Cup final patches that I could put on the jerseys. But if they did it, like let's say next year they make it to the Cup final again and lose, and then the window closes, they never make it back in the Adidas jerseys, I think I might, just because, I assume that it'll probably be memorable in some way, shape, or form that they made it to the final again, getting to experience certain things throughout the playoffs, like watching the game with friends or go into a game and so on. And I think it'll be a memorable experience either way. And considering that I have no better patch to put on the jersey at that point, I think I would do it.
TC, fake or authentic? You'd put a Cup final patch on your team's jersey even if they lost?
I'd say for most circumstances, fake. As Shawn said, 2014, I am a Rangers fan. I refuse to put that patch on. I think it's bad memories. But if it's a team, if it's their first Cup final, like it was with the Predators last year, or it would be with either team in the West this year, absolutely. Celebrate your team's achievement to making it that far. But if it's a team that has been to the final before and has won it, no. I don't think it would be the right move.
Yeah, I'm authentic at this point, but I think you guys have made a good point. I'm a Leafs fan, so if they made the final and lost, I would totally get a patch for that season. But if they went on to continue to lose in the final, I think just that first season would be the one that I'd want to get the patch for. And if they kept on winning,
yeah, of course, because their Cup final losses only come twice a century.
You got to mark them. Once in a lifetime situation there. But I got Winnipeg's jersey, but it's Reebok Edge. I can't throw a Stanley Cup final patch on that. I do have the knockoff Vegas jersey where the NHL crest fell off the.
Get a knockoff Cup final patch.
Yeah.
Just find a Stanley Cup sticker and put that on there.
No, you got to get a. If Vegas wins, you got to get a Stanley Cup champions patch.
Yeah.
Oh.
With the wrong year on it or something. And put it on the wrong side or something like that.
And then put it upside down.
Put it upside down,
on the hem stripe.
Do what the fakes do and just put patches put them down right next to the logo. So, right there. If I'm using a Thrashers jersey, for example, put it right next to the stick.
Well, that's what the Hamilton Bulldogs. They're going to the Memorial Cup in the CHL.
That's what they all have to do because they put the league logo on the one side, and then because I have Moosehead's jersey here, and Ehlers was the assistant captain, and the assistant logo goes under the QOJHL logo, which means that in the event that they made the Memorial Cup in 2015, they would have had to have put it under the CCM logo or on one of the arms.
Well, the Hamilton Bulldogs have put it on their right side, right beside the logo. Pretty much where your, your kidneys? Pretty much where your kidneys are.
Here, let me see. I saved a picture of that the other day. Let me pull it up to show the couple people on the.
It looks ridiculous.
So the podcast right now.
Yeah, Bpoe showing us a picture. It's literally right beside the logo. It's nearly tucked in by the dog collar. If you can find a picture of it, look up Hamilton Bulldogs 2018 OHL champions, and you should be able to find.
Oh my gosh! That's rib cage kidney level, and they're not the only team. I think the weirdest one though, is that one team had the Kitchener Rangers when they do it. It goes under the script.
Yeah, I mean, at least, throw it on the sleeve or something, like the NHL 100 patch was.
Oh, that makes sense.
Anyways, that's not the fake or authentic question, but still, that's a good topic for another day. Worst placements of the Memorial Cup patch ever.
Actually, look at his sleeve. There's
my gosh!
On the sleeve,
another one right there.
On the sleeve of the Hamilton Bulldogs.
Shoulder patches, 2 chest patches.
On the sleeve of the Hamilton Bulldogs, there's already a logo, so the Memorial Cup logo can't go there. That's just fantastic work, Hamilton. You're looking great as always. All right,
want to visualize where this patch was? Imagine there's a chest stripe on the jersey, and that the patch is right in the middle of the chest stripe, right next to the logo.
So when Hamilton wears their all.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's jump right into the mailbag here. Mailbag. And the HJC Mailbag, if you want your question answered on an upcoming episode of the podcast, you can find the HJC Mailbag form on hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. It's either on the side of the blog or go to the podcast tab, and you might find it there, and you will find it there too. Leave your question with a name, and we'll try to answer it on an upcoming episode of the podcast. Let's go to our most recent question left here from Burka Circus. Can you do a podcast on the potential Seattle expansion? And we all know that announcement's coming. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes this summer. Once we know more and can get some ideas rolling, then we can do a Seattle expansion podcast. It's definitely coming. So just be on the lookout for that. But patience. Coming up, next question, Noah B. Oh, I love this question because Shawn's gonna answer it very passionately. Noah B. writes, what are your feelings towards Vegas's run for the Cup? Are you on the bandwagon, or do you absolutely hate it? Shawn.
You win the worst division in hockey by far. You get to play Edmonton, Vancouver, Phoenix, and Calgary, and you manage to finish ahead of an injured Anaheim team, an aging San Jose team, and a mediocre LA Kings team. You beat these teams in the playoffs, and you get to the round to play a real team. You play dirty with one of the dirtiest players in the NHL in James Neal. You have every Canadian sports media outlet riding you like there's no tomorrow because it's your first season, despite the fact that teams clearly didn't know how deep this draft class was going to be and clearly protected the wrong players. I I'm sorry, Florida, but you messed up with Marchessault. And Columbus, to an extent, with Carlson. These are guys they should have kept. On top of that, the Flames had a chance at Marc-Andre Fleury. So you know what? I'm putting it on the rest of the NHL. This is your fault that a dirty, cheap team who everybody wants to friggin' bandwagon with, they have more Canadian players. The last team to do that was the 2016 St. Louis Blues, and they got their butts kicked by San Jose. So, I don't care where your players are from. Winnipeg's in Canada. They are going to beat Vegas, okay? I'm saying that right now, and I'm never confident enough in my teams to guarantee a win. But you know what? They're going to beat Vegas. And when they do, and this run is over, and they realize that they traded their first-round pick for a second-round scorer in Thomas Tatar, they will have no draft picks. They have no prospects. And in 5 years, you will see this team in the bottom of the Pacific Division. And we're going to say, well, they had that one good run. Well, congratulations. Florida had a good run within their first few years, and look where they are now.
So
I'm going to offer one quick correction. I don't think Calgary actually had a chance at Fleury because his no-trade clause allowed him to say, nope, I only want to go to Vegas.
And that's all he was going. That deal was made even before the.
I'm talking about the year before.
When they signed Elliott.
First Cup win.
After they signed Elliott.
Yes, that year when there was the rumors going around that they were going to make a move for Fleury, and then nothing happened.
Well, his no trade clause could have also prevented that if he didn't.
I'm going to guess that the other thing about Vegas is there's a lot of backdoor stuff. There was a backdoor deal for Columbus to take to leave their players alone, and Carlson would go. And the exception that Vegas took David Clarkson and Fleury going there was a backdoor deal. But here's the thing:
that's not a backdoor deal. Those are up front. They're allowed to make those.
They're backdoor in the fact that they don't tell you until they've already happened. Let me put it that way.
So if they do tell us as it's happening, what are we going to do? Protest, petition, tell them they can't do it.
Another team can. Oh, and by the way, screw you, Vegas, on getting in the way of a trade deadline deal with Winnipeg.
What? Oh, this is good. Let's let Shawn run wild here because his team is playing Vegas in the semifinals. Go ahead. How did they get in the way of a deal?
Forgive me for not having this up right. I will get it up for you right now. During the trade deadline, there was a deal where a deal had been made, and Vegas butted their head in for no reason other than I'm going to get the actual deal up here. I didn't think I was going to go off like this. What am I saying? We knew I was going to go off like this. During the trade deadline. Before the Stastny deal had been made, and that deal I think would have been made regardless. Here it is. The Derek Brassard deal. Winnipeg was involved with. Ian Cole would have gone to Winnipeg. But Vegas got involved to get dirty player like Ryan Reeves, who's just knockoff Bufflin. Got involved here and basically cut them off when there was a deal reached where basically what would happen is Winnipeg had their eye on Ian Cole, had a deal set out. Vegas got involved and cut them off.
Now wait, I thought Winnipeg was supposed to get Brassard and then Vegas.
Sorry, that's what it is. Sorry, I'm getting players. Winnipeg was supposed to get Derek Brassard. Well, Ottawa still are. Yeah, it's a weird thing. So then Vegas cuts in to get Ryan Reeves, who I could go off about him being one of the dirtiest players in the NHL, freaking leaving his feet to take Bufflin out just to knock him on one knee. Bufflin could break him like that.
And they also retained salary on Brassard, so he'd come to the Pens. I think it's because Vegas just wanted to keep Brassard out of the West.
Oh, you know what I think? Yeah, I think it's that. I think it's because it was one of the first deals of the deadline, and Bettman was sitting there going, "We got to get either Arizona or Vegas involved in this because those are his friggin' children right now." And on top of all of that, here's my biggest problem with it.
Oh, those weren't the biggest problems? There's bigger ones?
No, and this is directly calling out TSN. Growing up in the Toronto area, all you hear is TSN, Toronto Sports Network. They only care about the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs. Shut up. If I have to see Bar Down write one more article, like slobbering over Vegas, it's their first season, and I'm sorry, if you were handed a team that you could have created in NHL 17 and been happy with, if you could create that off the go, then you know what? Like, I mean, like this shouldn't surprise anyone. You know, like realistically, it shouldn't surprise. And you know what? We're probably not going to see this with Seattle. Because teams will learn their lesson. Don't leave these types of players exposed. Leave your veterans exposed and let them take the scraps from that. Like, honest to goodness, TSN, every article they write is like friggin' James Neal farted and everybody laughed. And
that would be a great article.
Cabby's interviewing James Neal right now.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Look how great Vegas is. Like the TSN, write one positive article about something.
That would be great.
Apparently, they're writing plenty of positive articles about Vegas.
I would love that article. If Bar Down tweeted out, "We were in the Vegas locker room. Look what happened."
James Neal farted, and everyone laughed. This team is great. I'm totally on the bandwagon. Well, it sounds like Shawn's not on the bandwagon. Before we finish up here, let's quickly go to Bpoe and TC. Bpoe, are you on the Vegas bandwagon?
I'm not on the bandwagon. I've been a fan since 1990. Hardcore. No, but answering seriously, I'm definitely on the bandwagon. It definitely helps that the love of my life, Marc-Andre Fleury, is on their team.
Does he know about this?
No, Bpoe, the love of your life is that crustless peanut butter and jelly sandwich your mother has brought.
I told you to move to the bed. The chair was too squeaky.
TC, are you on the bandwagon?
Absolutely not. If you take a team and set them up for success and then like basically spoon feed them everything they need to get this far and then act like you're surprised when they do get this far, you're an idiot.
I'm not on the bandwagon, but I'm not necessarily agreeing with everyone that this team was handed all these excellent players. These players were all cast-offs and just happened to find the right role in the right system in Vegas, and it's working surprisingly better than most people thought. So a lot of teams made mistakes because they overvalued their players. But no, I'm not on the Vegas bandwagon. I'm just enjoying the hockey right now. And,
hey, remember before the season started and after the expansion draft when everybody predicted Vegas to come like last in the league?
Yeah.
And the good players.
No, nobody predicted Vegas to come last. No, nobody predicted Vegas to come last in the league. Everybody predicted Colorado to be last in the league.
Okay, fine, second last.
Whoever Matt Duchene on was going to be finishing last in the
league. Poor bastard. All right, that concludes our Tinfoil Hat podcast. I mean, the Jersey Nerds podcast. Shawn will be back next week with another tinfoil hat and probably a couple opinions on black jerseys and the Vegas Golden Knights black jersey. That's what we should talk about next week and just watch Shawn.
That's disgusting.
We should do the Adidas pentagram.
Ooh, yes, that's right. Bettman is satanic, and it's all thanks to the New York Islanders. That'll get Phil on the podcast for next week.
No, I think
Gary Bettman is a satanic terrorist supporter.
He killed the Atlanta Thrashers were an inside job.
Melt season tickets.
Winnipeg jet fuel can't melt steel beams.
Oh. All right, get your tinfoil hats ready for next week for the Jersey Nerds podcast. This one was extremely exceptional. Shawn, I almost called you John. Don't know why that happened. John, thanks for joining me. Shawn, thanks for joining me. Bpoe, TC, good times this week as always. Oh, we got concept of the week vote going on the blog, going up until Friday, concept of the week, April vote going on. But I wanted to focus on coming up starting June 1st is the pairs competition. This is where you pair up with another artist, and the theme this year will be creating an outdoor game. So it'll involve logo creation, jersey creation. There's always a wild card page that usually pushes people over the top, and a couple other elements. So you can go on to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com right now and find the links up on the very top of the page for the upcoming pairs competition. And you can leave your email address or create an email address so that you can be contacted and you guys can start making your teams. Everything begins, excuse me, June 1st. Shawn, do you have anything to say about the Jersey Casual stickers?
I do. There's a sale going on redbubble.com right now. 20% off of everything, and shirts are $15. We haven't had any new designs up in a little bit. That will soon change.
Sweet.
I will say right now, if you do want a Jersey Casual shirt, get it now. And on top of that, there's always the multi-sticker deal. If you order 4, 25% off. If you order 10, 50% off.
The stickers are fantastic.
Done the math. Own the entire Jersey Casual collection for under, I think it's $60.
There you go. And they look great on your boat. So it's boat season coming up.
Your boat-like products back of your laptops, but you can't have the Turd Burger one.
Or your fence.
They look great on your fence. Bpoe's fence is all Jersey Casual stickers and peanut butter and jelly sandwich crusts.
That's a great Jersey Casual design. Bpoe as our Jersey Casual guy sitting on a fence in a Penguins jersey. We got to get that one going. That'd be a good Jersey Casual design. All right, we'd love to hear some feedback, what you think about the Jersey Nerds podcast. And you can do that by leaving comments anywhere you find this podcast. Also share it with your friends, and you can contact us anytime. Mailbag at hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. You can also create your own concepts and send them into the blog, concepts at hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. We'd love to share them on the blog. Everything that's sent in gets posted unless it's stupid or offensive or something like that. But the big thing is, remember to share the podcast with your friends. Let's get the word out there. Let's get people listening to the Jersey Nerds podcast. That is all we have for you this week. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.